This is a slow wandering through Kyoto at cherry blossom time, beginning by the river at golden hour and meandering past beloved temples, shrines, lanes, and gardens. We will drift from Kamo River to Gion, from Yasaka to the Philosopher's Path, onward to bamboo, gates and gardens, arriving gently at a quiet inn as dusk folds into night. The evening settles over Kyoto like a silk shawl, light as breath and warm as a friendly hand. A soft breeze carries the faint perfume of cherry blossoms and the mineral whisper of river water. The sky ripens from pale blue into apricot, then into a calm peach, and the first lanterns are thinking about waking. Bicycle bells ring with courteous brevity, their tones dissolving into the hum of the city's patient heart. You step onto the Kamo River's broad banks, where the grass is trimmed and springy, and the pathway is gently worn. Couples sit along the stones with bento boxes and small thermoses of tea, their knees almost touching. On the stepping stones across the stream, a child pauses to watch a flash of silver fish, and then giggles as a petal lands on their sleeve. The water moves as if it too is reading a poem, each line a ripple folding into the next. A heron lifts one leg, pausing mid-step as if counting time, and waits before sliding into another measured pace. The city and the river are breathing together in long, unhurried breaths. You stroll downstream and watch the petals travel the water like tiny boats that have forgotten their destination. The river's surface carries the life of the day, holding light from the sky and shadow from the low bridges that cross it. Every so often, a group of friends clap softly to mark a perfect photo, and their laughter is no louder than the rustle of reeds. The smell of grilled soy and sweet sauce drifts from somewhere up the embankment, letting you imagine a skewer of something tender without asking you to go fetch it. Runners pass with respectful softness, feet a hush on the packed earth path, shoulders loose and breath steady. The low murmur of conversation in Japanese flows like another current, consonants clicking like pebbles, and vowels moving like water. Faint guitar strings float from the edge, where a musician has set down a hat, just in case a passerby wants to add a coin to the evening. 2 ducks make figure eights in the gentle current, leaving braided trails behind them. A tiny gust gathers a handful of petals and drops them at your feet like a secret, and you step through them as if through a dream. Bridges turn from daylight grey to a soft, reflective charcoal, and under each arch the river carries a pocket of twilight. Turn toward Gion, where the wooden houses along the lanes hold shadows like cool water in a cup. The lanes are narrow and finely kept, with latticework screens and low eaves that feel like a kind of gentle embrace. Paper lanterns with red and white patterns blink on, one by one, as if nodding in greeting. You hear the measured clack of wooden getter on stone, a sound that comes like a heartbeat from another time. Willow branches trail along the canal, dipping their long fingers into the water, then lifting them again, as if to test the temperature of evening. The softest scent of incense flows from a doorway where someone has just bowed and stepped inside. Farther along, a shamisen note stretches like a beam of light, faint and sweet and sure. On a windowsill, a lacquered comb rests beside a small vase holding a single camellia, upright and deliberate. Somewhere behind a screen, a laugh rises and then disappears, as light as steam. You move slowly, letting the history of the wood, the stone, and the air settle into your steps. At the edge of Gion, Yasaka Shrine gathers twilight like a host welcoming old friends. Its vermilion structures crisp against the softening sky. You walk past the stone guardians and up toward the main hall, pausing at the water basin where ladles wait like gentle invitations. The water is cool over your fingers, and the practice of rinsing your hands feels like setting down a bag you no longer need to carry. Bells hang in braided cords, and when a visitor rings one, it trembles the air with a sound that is both bright and round. Paper wishes flutter from their strings, each one like a small sail in a breeze of hopes. Lanterns begin to glow warm and buttery, nestling the pathways in friendly circles of light. Near the shrine, Maruyama Park opens with its weeping cherry tree reaching wide, like a fountain of petals. Families sit on picnic blankets, and the soft murmur of their voices blends with the soft shush of grass. A breeze shakes the branches, and a flurry of blossoms becomes a quiet snowfall, briefer and kinder than winter. Vendors behind neat counters pass gentle bowls of yudofu and small cups of amazake to hands that say thank you with a bow and a smile. From here, the philosopher's path invites you to amble north beside a narrow canal lined with overhanging cherry trees. Stone under your soles, water at your side, and a ribbon of petals gliding forward as if to lead the way. The path is modest, but sure of itself, like a poem written in a careful hand. Cats drape themselves on sun-warmed walls, untroubled by the day's decisions, and ready to lend you some of their ease. Over a tiny bridge, a small shrine rests, tucked as if it has always known how to be part of this landscape. A wind chime tinkles like glass rain, and you pause because the sound has asked you to. Petals feather the canal, gathering in little coves that curl at the edges like smiles. A few walkers lift their cameras and then lower them, finding that their eyes are already enough. If you pass a gardener trimming a camellia, you will hear the soft snip as a punctuation mark on the paragraph of the path. The Sanmon Gate of Nanzen-ji rises with quiet power, its beams weathered to a velvet brown that makes the edges look soft even though they are sturdy. There is a stillness under its shelter that feels like a temple within the temple, a place to look up through spacious rafters at a bit of sky. Steps lead to a view that braids trees, rooftops, and the last buttered gold of afternoon light. And your breath works in easy, companionable rhythm with the climb. Nearby, the brick aqueduct arches with a European grace that somehow nestles into the pines as if it was always meant to be. Water hums along it like a memory held by the city, both present and long ago. Between the trees, a stone path wanders, and moss fills the spaces like green velvet tucked into every seam. The smell is clean and good, cedar and earth, and the faint tang of running water. If you peek into a sub-temple garden, broad stones float like islands in raked gravel seas. You feel an urge to speak softer, and then perhaps not speak at all. Beyond Nanzenji, the great torii of Heian Shrine frames the avenue like a gate of sunlight solidified into colour. Vermilion pillars rise as if drawing breath, their paint glowing even as the day drains toward evening. In the shrine's gardens, ponds mirror willows, irises, and the leaning clouds of cherry trees, and every reflection seems to exhale. A covered bridge curves like a sentence, written by a hand that loves slow script. The boards underfoot have the gentle give of generous wood, and the water below puts small circles around every falling petal. Around the corner, the Okazaki Canal carries low boats along a tunnel of blossoms, and their oars dip like commas, punctuating a very calm story. Gentle voices murmur from the boats, and a child's hush of wonder carries farther than a shout would. The sky has moved into a pale lavender that looks as if it has been brushed on with a soft sleeve. A crane in a shallow bank lifts its body into one effortless arc, and then folds itself back into the scene like a thoughtful phrase placed exactly where it belongs. When you climb toward Kiyomizu-dera, the hillside houses lean in with their wooden eaves, and stone steps guide your feet without hurrying them. Shops are easing into closure, and their attendants offer you the end of the day with folded cloths and tidying gestures, their hands making quiet shapes in the air. The air carries the toastiness of rice crackers and the dulcet green scent of matcha ground fine, and you can taste sweetness before you have taken any. At the temple's balcony, the city opens like a fan, delicate and wide, each rib a street, each paper pane a district, all held by the evening. The stage itself feels like a raft in a gentle sea of air, firm under you, with wooden fibers that might remember 1,000 sunsets. You lean on the railing, and Kyoto glows from within, lantern by lantern, window by window, until the stitches of light gather the cloth of the night together. In the hall below, offerings gleam soft as pearls, and the sound of a bell folds itself around you like warm water. At the Ottawa waterfall, 3 streams fall in patient ribbons, and visitors drink with long-handled cups, each sip a small ceremony of trust. Your turn comes, and the cool water settles you from the inside out. a kindness that needs no explanation. On the way back down, the stone path is tender with petals that do not mind being stepped on, because they are busy returning to earth. Sanenzaka and Ninenzaka tilt and curve in friendly inclines, their flagstones worn by centuries of good, careful walking. The shop fronts glow gently, like quiet houses that think of you as family. Wind bells hung in eaves shiver with tiny silvery voices that sound like the edges of moonlight. The scent of cedar and starch rises from a shop where hand towels hang in soft rows, like clouds you can take home. A potter's window shows bowls the colour of river stones and tea foam, and each one seems to hold a small silence. You pass a doorway where slippers are lined in pairs, like good friends, ready to step in together. Paper fans rest, half open, as if the breeze has posed them for a portrait. Somewhere a kettle clicks, then hums into a soft boil, and steam fogs a corner of glass with the gentlest of sighs. A cat glides along the stones, as if teaching the night how to move gracefully. Steps descend toward the city, and the rooftops accept the last light like a compliment. At Fushimi Inari, the first torii stands like a welcome spoken in a clear voice, and beyond it, a river of gates begins its slow ascent. Vermilion repeats and repeats, each pillar steady enough to lean on if you wished, each lintel a rhythm in the poem of the path. Fox statues sit in poise, keys and jewels held politely, ears forward as if listening to the quiet wishes that tiptoe past them. Your steps find the cadence of the hill, up and up, then level, then a little more up, as the sound of your breath becomes friendly company. Between the gates, the forest turns a darker green, and the light becomes deliciously thin, like the skin on warmed milk. Wooden emma hang with hand-scrawled hopes curled like sleeping animals, and a breeze nudges them so they clatter tenderly. Somewhere a bell rings, small and sure, and then a second bell replies from somewhere farther away. Petals find their way even here, one by one, until they streak the path like shy constellations. You pause at a small clearing to look back at the city. Lights now pipping up like stars laid on their sides. Then you turn forward again, warmed by the feeling of being precisely where you belong. Without hurry, you hop the little local line toward Arashiyama, and the carriage hums in a tone that seems chosen for calm. Through the window, rooftops and trees slip by like a scroll, unrolling to show a story you already know by heart. A commuter dozes, face softened, hands folded, while a student reads a paperback with a cover the color of chamomile tea. Stations arrive and leave like polite guests, announced by soft chimes and signs that glow with quiet confidence. The carriage ceiling reflects the last of the evening light, and for a moment, it is as if you were inside a pearl. Your seat is firm and kind, and the tracks offer a rhythm your body recognizes from some deep, patient place. You think of the river waiting, and the hills lined up like companions, and your shoulders relax without needing permission. The train eases into Arashiyama with the touch of a careful hand, placing a cup on a saucer. You step down, and the air smells like bamboo and riverstone, green and clean and steady. Overhead, the sky is violet at the edges and deepening toward blue. The Sagano bamboo grove beckons with a path that disappears into a tall green hush. Each calm rises smooth and cool, the joints ringed like gentle bracelets, and the crowns knit together in a roof that sifts moonlight and late evening. A breeze moves through, and the stalks knock softly against one another, the sound like wooden flutes speaking kindly in a language of taps and sighs. The path is wide enough for calm passing, narrow enough to keep you close to the living green. Shadows slip across the ground in long, tender stripes, and a bicycle bell in the distance tinkers like a memory. Footsteps here naturally grow quiet, as if the bamboo has asked for it, and you are happy to oblige. You draw your hand close to a stalk and feel the coolness radiate, like the air has found a small spring of shade. Every few steps, the world seems to pause, and you notice you have matched your breath to whatever the grove is doing. A lantern comes on at a bend and turns the green into soft tea light, and the path feels like a thought finishing gently. When you emerge, the open air feels wide and star-friendly, and the river is near. Togetsukyo Bridge lays its wooden back over the Katsura River, as if offering a place to sit, dream, and cross at once. The mountains behind it are a painter's wash of greens, layered like silk, and blossoms from the riverside trees, loosening themselves into the evening. A boatman pushes a low boat along with a long pole. The pole a slender line connecting water and sky with every stroke. On the bridge, people slow down because slowing down is the only correct speed here. And the boards return your steps with a reassuring thrum. The river holds the last colour of the sunset, like a bowl of warm tea catching light around its rim. Ducks make tiny V's behind them, and then fold the water shut with no fuss. Lanterns along the banks wink on, and make a necklace of the night. Each lamp a bead of calm. If you look over, you may see carp rolling just under the surface, their mouths open in silent O shapes, like small moons rising and falling. Cherry petals gather in eddies and spiral toward places you cannot see from here, though you are sure those places are kind. A breeze moves along the length of the bridge and carries the scent of pine and riverstone together, like two old friends walking arm in arm. Tenryuji waits a few steps away, its garden open, like a thought you have had many times and still wish to think again. The pond wears the sky and allows the pines to lean over it, as if to tell it a gentle secret. Rocks sit in considered positions, like elders at a gathering, and between them, moss hums a green lower note that keeps the whole scene grounded. The temple halls feel like cool water for the mind. Floorboards smooth as if they have been polished by the passage of gratitude. You sit along a veranda and let your legs dangle. The wood warm where the sun has been, cool where the shade has stayed. A monk passes in soft socks, robe whispering at his ankles, and the air behind him seems to tidy itself as he goes. Somewhere, a broom brushes gravel, even strokes that sound like care. The garden's maples show their young leaves, translucent as new ideas, and the cherry trees loosen their grip, petal by petal. The mountain line beyond the temple keeps the horizon close and friendly, as if the world has curled in to rest for a while. The pond closes a ring of ripples around a single petal, and the ring expands and fades without ever being lost. Ryoanji lies across town, simple in appearance and immense in what it offers you to feel. The stone garden is a sea with no water, an ocean of raked white, with islands of rock placed with a kindness that knows where complexity lives. You sit on the low wooden platform and let your gaze rest without looking for anything, which is when you begin to find everything. The pattern of the raked gravel shows a steady hand and a long breath. Waves curved around islands like an embrace. No matter how you shift, one stone disguises another, so that your view is always almost complete and never quite finished. You notice how satisfying it is to keep not quite finishing something this beautiful. A sparrow hops across the veranda, tiny claws clicking like punctuation on the sentence of stillness. Behind you, the clay wall holds the day's warmth and smells a little like sun on bread. You close your eyes, and the garden continues behind them, as if your mind has learned how to rake, how to place, how to say yes and rest. Kinkaku-ji, the golden pavilion, sits at the water's edge like a lantern that learned to be a house. Its gold leaf shines even under the softened sky. The brightness a careful, measured glow, rather than anything sharp. Reflected in the pond, it looks like a thought thinking itself. Upper and lower worlds nestling into one line. Pines lean in with the restrained dignity of old friends arriving exactly on time. And stones break the water's surface like syllables spoken quietly. The path leads you along the pond's curve, and each step offers a slightly different conversation with light. In spring, the cherry branches nearby let fall their pink phrases, and the gold listens without judgment. A small waterfall laughs gently behind a screen of rocks, more chuckle than giggle, and you are allowed to smile back at it. Visitors murmur and then hush, their sounds polite as rain on a paper umbrella. The temple's symmetry is a balance your breath understands before your eyes do. When you leave, the glow lingers at the edge of vision, the way a kind word lingers at the edge of thought.